Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Let's start with the headline here. Ask your baby's permission before changing diapers, says sexual consent expert. Now, this comes out of Australia, and it comes from a quote-unquote sexual consent expert, and she argues that parents should ask a child for permission before changing diapers. Now, her name is Deanne Carson, and once again, she works in Australia. And her whole argument is that parents need to create a condition of consent in their households. But let's talk about something realistic here. Children don't have consent. Children have not had consent. Because they are under the age of majority, the laws and decrees in the lands that they live in dictate what they can and can't do and how much control their parents have over their lives. The laws themselves are there to protect children, which is why we don't allow children to work in offices and in factories and at jobs until certain ages, depending upon what the work is. And it's why we don't allow children to enter into legally binding contracts, because you must consent to a contract. Now, the concept here is that by doing this, we start to create a culture of consent. But the truth is that capitalist cultures, free market cultures, freedom, real liberty, real natural right cultures are by definition cultures of consent, because you must have voluntary interactions. You must agree to give your money to the person who has the product you want to purchase. You have to want to purchase their product. They can't make you purchase their product. And so I see much of this sex expert talk and all this consent talk to be more propaganda than anything else. Now, here is our sex culture expert. She is on Twitter, by the way. And what she is trying to do is empower children with their rights. Now, once again, anyone under the age of majority doesn't have rights in the way that members of the age of majority have. It's the same way that prisoners don't have rights. Prisoners aren't not human beings. They are still human beings, but because they have lost their freedom, they can't consent. Just like children can't consent. So this idea that you're empowering them when they can't actually do what you're trying to empower them to do shows a fundamental lack of understanding of consent and natural law. Now, people are getting criticized for criticizing her. And there are people who are flat out ad homing and using logical fallacies here. But I want to make sure that people understand that there are real logical reasons why this is foolishness here. When someone doesn't have the right to enter into an agreement or a contract, they can't consent. They can't. So your child who cannot enter into a contract cannot consent. That is why sexualizing them is wrong. That is why parents need to make good decisions for their children. That is why we need to sponsor strong family ties and good fundamental family construction. Because those things benefit the child, protect the child, educate the child, and help them become a reasonable, responsible member of society. Not this kind of stuff. This really is leftist lunacy. If you think somebody who can't understand what you're asking them can consent, and you should therefore empower them to consent. And her argument is that it establishes a culture of consent in households. It doesn't. What it does is it creates a false sense of entitlement and a false sense of power. See, voluntary exchange is a form of power. That is why people in capitalist countries are empowered to succeed or fail. They have to do it from their own choice. They have to consent to spending their money and doing their labor. Well, at this point, I think I've beat a dead horse. I am going to include the Newsweek article about this down below. There are links to different articles all over the web, and Australia's ABC did the actual interview, so you can actually watch it online. I want to thank everyone for joining me on this lovely Friday, and I hope you have yourselves a great day.